They expect you to break, to lash out, to beg for closure, to prove that they still have control over your emotions. But you don't. You give them nothing. No words, no reaction, no sign of pain. And that's when they realize they've lost all power over you. Because silence is the one thing they can't fight. They can argue with your words, but they can't argue with your absence. They can manipulate your emotions, but they can't manipulate indifference. And when you walk away without a word, something strange happens. They start to question everything. They wonder why you're not chasing, why you're not reacting, why you've become a mystery they can't solve. And in that moment, the power shifts. Today, I'll show you how to master the art of silent revenge, how to make them regret everything without lifting a finger. If you're ready to stop wasting energy on those who don't deserve it and start winning in silence, subscribe now, like this video, and let's begin. Why is silence so powerful? Why does it get under people's skin more than words ever could? Because human nature is predictable. We crave validation. We seek reactions. We measure our worth based on how others respond to us. And when someone suddenly stops engaging, it creates a psychological void, a void that demands to be filled. But silence denies them that satisfaction. It forces them to sit with their own thoughts, their own insecurities, their own regrets. And the more they search for a reaction, the more they realize they no longer have control. Most people don't understand this. They think power comes from confrontation, from winning an argument, from getting the last word. But the greatest power move is saying nothing at all. When you choose silence over reaction, you send a message without ever speaking a word. And that message is clear. You no longer hold power over me. 1. The absence effect. People value what's no longer there. Have you ever noticed how people only appreciate something after it's gone? A favorite song, a childhood memory, a person they once took for granted. Suddenly, its absence makes it more valuable. The same rule applies to human relationships. The moment you stop responding, stop explaining, stop justifying, you create scarcity. And scarcity creates demand. When something is always available, it's easy to take it for granted. But take it away, and suddenly, people start to notice its worth. They start feeling your absence in ways they never expected. They check their phone, waiting for a message that never comes. They replay old conversations, looking for signs they might have missed. They start to wonder if they made a mistake. And that's when the shift begins. The moment you take away what they once had easy access to, you make them realize its worth. It doesn't matter how much they tried to hurt you, how little they valued you before. The absence effect forces them to reconsider everything. And that's the beginning of their regret. But absence alone isn't enough. If you really want to turn the tables, you need to introduce something even more powerful: uncertainty. 2. The uncertainty principle. The mind hates not knowing. The human brain is wired to seek closure. It wants answers, it needs explanations, it craves resolution. But silence? Silence denies them all of that. It leaves them in a state of confusion, overthinking every detail, searching for clarity that will never come. They ask themselves, did I do something wrong? Why aren't they reacting? Are they really over me? And in that endless loop of overanalyzing, something strange happens. They start feeling the weight of their own actions. Without a response, they are left alone with their own guilt, their own mistakes, their own regrets. Because as long as you engage, as long as you fight back, they don't have to face the truth. They can convince themselves that they still matter, that they still have power over you. But take that away, and suddenly they have nothing left but their own thoughts. The more they question, the more they wonder, the deeper the uncertainty eats away at them. And that's when the regret sets in. Uncertainty breeds anxiety. It makes them restless. It forces them to start chasing answers, chasing validation, chasing you. Because when someone doesn't know where they stand, they start craving reassurance. But when you refuse to give it, they start losing control. 3. The power shift, from controlled to controlling. Most people try to regain power by arguing, explaining, proving their worth. They beg to be heard. They fight to be understood. But a real strategist does the opposite. They withdraw. They refuse to engage. They refuse to play the game. And when you stop giving someone your energy, you take back control. Because power doesn't come from proving a point. Power comes from being indifferent to the need to prove anything at all. Silence shifts the dynamic. It takes them from feeling in control to feeling completely powerless. Think about it. If they truly didn't care about you, why do they need a reaction? Why are they checking to see if you'll respond? Why are they suddenly paying attention now that you've disappeared? Because your silence is speaking louder than words ever could. And the moment they realize they no longer have control over your emotions is the moment they start chasing you. But knowing this isn't enough. To truly master silent revenge, you need a strategic approach. Silent revenge isn't about being passive. It's about being calculated. It's about making your absence more powerful than your presence ever was. And to do this, you need 3 key strategies. 1. The Vanishing Act. Disappear without explanation. The first rule of silent revenge: walk away without a word. No dramatic exit, no long paragraphs, no final conversation. Just silence. Why? Because when you remove yourself suddenly, it creates an information gap. They don't know what you're thinking, where you are, or how you feel. And that uncertainty will eat away at them. Most people crave closure. They want an explanation. They want to know why you left, how you feel, what's going through your mind. But by giving them nothing, you deny them that closure. And that forces them to sit with their own questions, their own doubts, their own regrets. Imagine 2 scenarios. In the first, you leave with a long speech, explaining your reasons, your pain, your disappointment. They listen. They might even pretend to care. But once you're gone, they move on, because they have their closure. But in the second scenario, you say nothing. You just disappear. And that's when their mind starts working against them. Why did they leave? Are they angry? Are they over me? Are they with someone else? The more they question, the more power you hold. Because when you leave without a trace, you leave a void they can't ignore. But disappearing is just the first step. If you truly want to make an impact, you must do something even more powerful. 2. The transformation effect. Level up in silence. Most people disappear, but they don't change. They sit in the shadows, waiting, hoping for validation. But a true strategist disappears, and levels up. They hit the gym, they refine their mindset, they elevate their lifestyle. They become someone unrecognizable, and by the time their absence is noticed, they are no longer the same person they once were. This is the ultimate power move, because now you're not just gone, you're evolving. Think about it. The people who hurt you, disrespected you, or took you for granted, they expect you to stay the same. They assume you'll be waiting, stuck in the past, reminiscing about what was. But when they finally check back in, when they finally look for you, they find someone completely different. And that's when the regret truly begins. They realize the version of you they took for granted no longer exists. The version of you they ignored is now admired by others. The version of you they thought was replaceable is now untouchable. Your silence wasn't just an absence, it was a metamorphosis. But even with all this, there's one final rule that solidifies the power shift. 3. The no contact rule. Never break the silence. At some point, they will try to pull you back in. A text, a call, a casual "Hey, how have you been?" And this is where most people fail. They respond. But if you truly want them to feel the weight of their actions, you say nothing. Why? Because the moment you respond, you give them closure. You ease their regret. You let them off the hook. And the cycle begins again. But if you stay silent, their curiosity turns into obsession. And their obsession, that turns into regret. They start overthinking. They check your social media. They ask mutual friends about you. They try to piece together a story in their mind. But they will never find the answer. And that's when it hits them. They lost you. Not because you wanted revenge, not because you were trying to hurt them, but because you became someone they can never reach again. The final stage of silent revenge isn't about making them suffer. It's about making yourself so strong, so focused, so far ahead, that by the time they realize what they lost, you've already moved beyond them. And that's the ultimate power move. But even more powerful than regret is the moment they realize they can never reach you again. At this point, they're thinking about you more than ever. They are questioning, doubting, replaying the past in their mind. But the final stage of silent revenge isn't about making them miss you. It's about making yourself untouchable. This isn't about them anymore. It's about you. Because real power isn't about seeking revenge. It's about reaching a place where you no longer need it. 1. The psychological shift. Make them see what they lost. When you become the best version of yourself, the tables turn. They start to see you in a new light. They start to regret ever letting you go. But by then, it's already too late. This is the moment when reality hits them. The moment they realize the version of you they once knew no longer exists. They check your social media, expecting to see signs of struggle. But instead, they see you thriving. They ask about you through mutual friends, expecting to hear that you're still stuck in the past. But instead, they hear that you've moved on. And that's when the regret truly sets in. Because people never appreciate what they had until it's gone. But here's the truth. Their regret doesn't matter. Because you're not doing this for them. You're doing this for you. And the real victory? It's not in their suffering. It's in your growth. 2. The indifference test. Prove to yourself that you've moved on. The real test of power isn't whether they regret losing you. It's whether you even care anymore. Because the moment you reach true indifference, that's when you've won. Most people go through no contact waiting for a reaction, checking their phone, hoping for a message, imagining the day when the other person realizes their mistake. But a true strategist, they don't wait, they don't hope, they don't need validation. They focus on themselves. They pour their energy into their goals, their self-improvement, their next move. And somewhere along the way, they forget to care. Imagine running a race. At first, you keep looking back, checking where your opponent is. But the further you go, the less you check. And eventually, you stop looking back altogether. This is where you need to be. Not just ignoring them, but being so far ahead that they no longer exist in your world. And once you reach this point, something interesting happens. They feel it. They sense it. They know, deep down, that they no longer have a hold over you. And that's the most devastating realization of all. 3. The legacy move, never look back. Silent revenge isn't about making someone suffer. It's about reclaiming your power. And the final step? Never going back. No matter how much they regret, no matter how much they try, you are already too far ahead. This is where most people fail. They master the silence. They build themselves up. They create a new life. But then, just when they're at their peak, the past comes knocking. A message, a phone call, a sudden apology. And in that moment, they face the ultimate test. Do they entertain the past? Do they open the door they once closed? Or do they keep walking? The weak ones, they go back. They think, maybe they've changed. Maybe this time it will be different. But the strong ones, they keep moving forward. Because they understand one simple truth. Growth means outgrowing people who were never meant to stay. The person you are now is too powerful, too evolved, too focused to waste time on the past. And if you truly want to win, if you truly want to be untouchable, you must leave them behind for good. So now the question is, are you ready to walk away and never look back? They thought silence meant weakness, that no response meant surrender. But in reality, silence is the deadliest weapon. It forces them to sit with their own thoughts, their own guilt, their own regret. Because the truth is, when you stop reacting, you become a mystery, and nothing haunts the mind more than the unanswered questions. You've already seen the power of disappearing. You've seen how walking away changes the dynamic. But there's one final step, the move that guarantees you never look back. 1. The closure you don't need. Let them feel the void. They will try to reach out, maybe with an apology, maybe with a casual, "Hey, how have you been?" But here's the secret, you don't need closure. Why? Because closure isn't about getting an explanation. It's about deciding that you don't need one. The moment you stop seeking closure is the moment you free yourself from their influence forever. You don't need their apology. You don't need their validation. You don't need to prove anything. Their regret, that's theirs to carry, not yours. 2. The power of indifference. They only matter if you let them. They will expect you to care, to react, to still feel something. But when they finally look back and see that you've moved on, truly moved on, that's when they feel the full impact of their actions. They realize they were never as important as they thought they were. Because power isn't about making them suffer. Power is about being so unbothered that their existence no longer affects you. The ultimate power move isn't revenge. It's indifference. When they realize they've lost all influence over you, that's when they truly regret everything. 3. The legacy move. Never go back. Silent revenge is not about winning them back. It's about winning yourself back. And that means one thing: never going back. No matter what they say, no matter what they promise, no matter how much they claim to have changed. Because the person they left behind no longer exists. The version of you that chased, begged, or needed validation is gone. And the new you? The new you is untouchable. This is the real transformation. Not just disappearing, not just making them miss you, but outgrowing them completely. And when you do that, you don't need revenge, because you've already won. Silence is power. Indifference is freedom. This is how you win, not by arguing, not by proving a point, but by walking away, becoming better, and never needing to respond. If you're ready to master silent revenge and reclaim your power, subscribe now. And if you're committed to never looking back, leave a comment. I choose silence. In the next video, I'll show you how to use reverse psychology to make them chase you. Don't miss it.